Since the beginning of Rocket League, there has not been one mechanic that has even faced half as much scrutiny as the demolition. But while debates on whether it's toxic, skilled, or cheap have slowly evolved over the years, the constant complaints that demos are somehow broken has never gone away. Alleged demo fail clips are easy to find on Twitter and Reddit, and they're reinforced by even pros statements. But what's really going on here? Are demos actually broken right now? Or is it just a misunderstood mechanic? To finally answer this question once and for all, I set out to do a full explanation of the mechanic and its rules. What I thought was going to be a short and easy video quickly turned into a search for answers. After hours of discussion with programmers and longtime players, as well as making use of some custom-made demolition testing tools, I've had to come to some humbling conclusions. Yes, demos are broken, but not in the way you might think. And actually, in some ways, not in the way I was thinking either. Now before we get started, I do have to thank the sponsor of this video, Vincero Watches. As a growing YouTube channel, I've received and turned down many product placement opportunities. Not because of money, but because I felt I honestly couldn't put my name behind what they were offering. With Vincero, I can confidently say they do live up to their claims of providing the same look and feel of luxury watches that would cost 10 times as much. And if you're in the market for a reasonably priced, high-quality watch, you can do no better than checking out their 6 different men's collections. There's a reason they have over 20,000 5-star reviews. Personally, I selected the Altitude. This simple, rugged-looking watch is perfect for my personal style, as well as distracting people from my scary-looking chainsaw scar. And if they still notice the scar, well, now I have 2 interesting things to talk about. If you guys want to check out this watch and others in the Altitude collection, click on the link in the description and use code SLEDGE for 15% off and free shipping. To accurately test and explain the demolition mechanic, we have to go back to the rules that the developers set out for it. Now it's been years since we were given this information, but since they have not mentioned any specific changes to the mechanic, we have to assume that this is still how the game determines if a demo will happen or not. To get to the bottom of demo fails, we need to test each rule. Now the idea that you have to use the front of your car is pretty self-explanatory. So let's move right along to the supersonic speed requirement. In Rocket League, speed is expressed behind the scenes in unreal units per second, or UUS. Supersonic, or when you get wheel trails, is 2200 UUS. But the actual top speed of your car is 2300. So as per our demolition rules, we should get a demo as long as we are at or above 2200 UUS. Now, to be able to see my speed in free play, I'm going to be making use of the Bacchus Mod Science plugin made by Aerator. If the supersonic rule is a source of our problem, I should be able to find a situation where I don't demo a target while having trails, or perhaps get a demo while not showing supersonic trails. Now in my testing, I didn't have any issues like that, but I did find something that could be a source of some demo fail complaints. In Rocket League, you maintain your current speed as long as you don't let go of gas or turn too sharply, meaning you can maintain supersonic without boosting, as you see here. Now, as we go into a turn, we're going to lose speed and our wheel trails. But if you notice here, when I lose speed and drop below 2200, I still maintain my supersonic trails for a short period of time. At this point, I thought I might have stumbled upon something. Were these false trails causing demo fails? I tested my theory by tapping my reverse trigger so I dropped below the supersonic threshold, but found that as long as I had trails, I was getting the demo, even though technically I was below supersonic speed. But if I slowed down too soon, I would lose the trails and not get the demo. There seemed to be a short period of time after dropping below 2200 that I was still considered to be at demoing speed. Now this does match the visual indicator, so I don't really consider it a major mechanic problem, but it is something I've never heard of before. So I took this info to a well-known Rocket League modder named Cinderblock, and he was able to find the specific code in the game. The turn-off speed buffer of 100 means as long as you don't drop more than 100 UUS out of supersonic, you will get a supersonic buffer time of 1 second, and that's what I was experiencing. Using Cinderblock's own speedometer plugin, you can see this in action. The second line on the bar is 2200 UUS, or supersonic. If I drop below it, but stay above the first line that represents 2100, then I have 1 more second of supersonic speed. Alternately, if I hit the brakes hard and quickly drop below 2100, I will immediately lose supersonic and the trails. Having figured this out, I think it gives a clue for some specific types of demo fail situations. I'm going to simulate it here by hitting my brakes, but you can think of it as someone who runs out of boost, is maintaining supersonic, and does a slight turn to get their target. They could easily drop below 2200, but have trails right up till just before impact, creating a frustrating no demo moment that's hard to understand at game speed. I got Cinderblock to add a timing bar for the buffer so you can better visualize what is happening. Now this is obviously a very specific circumstance that could end up looking like a demo fail. In the end, when it comes to the must be supersonic rule, we do have to accept that the mechanic is working as intended, though this buffer does mean we can get lower speed demos. But overall, the idea that wheel trails equals demo does hold up, with some exceptions. Let's talk about those exceptions as we move on to look at the final demo rule. If only demos were as simple as be supersonic, get a demo. Angle of incidence is probably the most misunderstood part of the demo mechanic, and that's assuming a player even knows about it at all. Demos were not intended to be given for side swipes or glancing blows. Instead, a cone representing 45 degrees from the surface normal was how demos used to work. Yes, I say used to, because as you can see in this example, those angles are broken and have been broken for a long time. Reddit user Harari Hellfire was one of the first people to bring this problem to light over a year ago. He went back and compared demo situations with earlier versions of the game, and was eventually able to trace the issue back to version 1.43, meaning demos have actually been easier since mid-season 7. Yes, with broken angles, players are actually getting more demos than we ever did back in the day, which kind of goes against the more common complaint of demo fails. Since that time, there is still confusing demo fail clips that come up where the only explanation is that the angle was too wide. So why are angle calculations sometimes working and sometimes not? To fully test this, I employed a member of the RL bot community named Skyborg. Skyborg built me a demo simulator that allowed me to easily test the angles, and at the start, it went as expected. The car would easily demo through 85 degrees all the way to 0. Now keep in mind, these ones here should only be bumps by the original rules, but since I already knew this was broken, it wasn't a surprise. What was a surprise is when I moved the impact point past the center of mass, the high angle demos stopped, and I didn't start seeing demos until I got closer to 45 degrees. When I switched the direction of travel, the results flipped as well. With extensive testing, I found that if the car crosses the center of mass of the target, the angle rules still seem to be in effect, resulting in bumps until around the 45 to 50 degree mark, whereas striking the closer side results in demos throughout the angle range. To confirm this, Harari ran some personal tests outside the bot environment, and without even knowing what Skyborg made, Cinderblock built a similar Bacchus mod plugin that also gave the same results. When it comes to demo complaints, I don't think you can get any more broken than this. Truthfully, I was okay with the wide range of demo angles, and I think Psyonix was too based on their response to Harari's Reddit post. But what doesn't work is if you have differing results depending on the impact point on the hitbox. You can see why this would be confusing for a player, as an angle that usually gives a demo suddenly doesn't just because you hit past the center of mass. Is there a fix I'd recommend here? Well, it depends. I mean, we could go back to the 45 degree rule, but I think that demo fail complaints would skyrocket. That rage quit you saw by Scrubkill in the intro, that's still not a demo using the old rules. Personally, I'm in favor of the wider demo angles, but it needs to be repeatable, no matter where you strike the hitbox. And they need to tell us the new rules. Heck, I'll make a video explaining about it, Psyonix, no charge. Just give me my Dr. Demo title, and I'll be happy. To finish up this video, I just want to touch on a few explanations for common broken demo complaints. Yes, despite what I found here today, a large majority of demo complaints are based on misconceptions and misinformation. If they do actually fix the demo issues I'm talking about today, the ones I'm going to go over next will still continue to be brought up. So let's talk about it. ClientSide Prediction is another major misunderstanding that leads to demo complaints. Now, I've already covered this topic in regards to regular gameplay in a video I have linked in the right hand corner, but I want to briefly touch on it again. In Rocket League, the server rules. You send info to the server, it sends info back. To run smoothly, your client predicts the path of other cars and the ball based on their current direction of travel and speed. This means it doesn't have to wait for the server to update locations and makes for a smooth gaming experience. During quick changes in direction and close interactions, the client can predict wrong and has to undergo a correction, and this increases with ping. What does that mean? Well, sometimes cars are not exactly in the location you see them. Now, when it comes to demos and even bumps, client-side prediction is actually easy to spot. Yes, you may see contact and even sparks, but once the server tells your client that no contact actually happened, the target car will continue on its path practically unhindered. Sometimes it might look like you hit a player and you get demoed, but I'm sorry, that's not a broken demo. Client-side prediction is required for Rocket League to work. It's something you need to expect and accept. I always try to encourage people to not judge the game based on what happens at game speed and from your limited point of view. But that does bring me to my next point. While I recommend you don't make judgments at game speed, there is some caution about replays as well. It's a common misconception that replays don't have client-side prediction, while in reality, it's a mix of what you saw and what the server saw, saved in a compressed, lossy format at 30 Hz versus the server's 120. So remember, when you're looking at a replay, it's still not a full picture of what actually happened.
No.
In conclusion, I want to reiterate that even after everything we looked at today, you are still getting more and easier demos than the stated rules would apply. The supersonic buffer is a new concept, but it doesn't break demos. It's true angles are broken and not intuitive to users, but when they do prevent a demo, it's actually within the printed rules. Does that mean I don't think anything needs to be done? Well, no. We need this mechanic to be more consistent and easier to understand. There's still the odd demo that I can't explain even after all this research and experimenting. And I don't know if that's ever going to change, but I don't think reliable, spelled out black and white rules for demolitions is too much to ask from the developers. I want to thank Skyborg, Cinderblock, and Horori Hellfire. I couldn't have done this without you guys. I appreciate the time you spent building my experiments and providing a listening ear to discuss my ideas and theories. If you guys enjoyed this video, please subscribe and check out my other content. Also, to support the channel, I would appreciate if you checked out the Vincero link in the description. My name is Rocket Sledge. Thanks for watching.